Ustada, in Islam, the family is built on mercy, right?
Mm.
And very
Yeah.
often, Allah places special mercy in the heart of women. And as like, daughters, wives, mothers, and sisters. Through them, the families stay connected, the homes become a place of
Mm.
sakina, right?
Mm.
When mercy leaves the home becomes just a building. It's
Mm.
just a structure, nothing else.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
mercy is what makes
Okay.
it a family, right? And today we're celebrating womanhood. Today we're going to talk about womanhood. We're going to unpack a lot of things, inshallah. Could you please break down and briefly explain for us the four phases of a woman's journey?
Mm. Yeah. Yes, I can. Thank you for that beautiful introduction and the idea of women being the container of mercy, the kind of energetic space of mercy within a wider home. And then actually we see this in a wider society as well. When women are part of an organization, a project, a masjid, a any kind of movement where these women are sincere and they seek Allah's pleasure, so much barakah, so much mercy, so much goodness can come from that. And so I love that you've started this conversation with acknowledging that a house without women, a house without wombs, a house without a spiritual seeker in a female female from a female perspective is a house without mercy, because they bring in this extra favors from Allah, especially women who are aligned and seeking Allah's pleasure. And so thank you for that wonderful introduction. And so from that, yes, the four phases of a woman's cycle. So I've got my notes here. You're going to see me down on my notes. I've got it highlighted and everything. And I was making these notes this morning, and I was just saying to Samira that I really enjoy this topic. No matter how many times I've covered it, I really enjoy talking about the phases of womanhood, and often reflecting on where I'm at and what I've learned and what I have yet to learn, and where the mistakes were made and what is there to improve. And I think being able to have this conversation openly in and having it in the public sphere, I think it definitely helps other women hear about it and resonate with it. Because when I was going through, the first phase, or even the beginning of the second phase, I don't think I had people around me speaking about this. So today, inshallah, we'll talk about the four phases of a woman's spiritual life journey. So often you'll see in non-Muslim spaces, Samira, that they talk about these four phases, but they have different names for them. Um, and I have tweaked the names and adjusted them according to the spiritual woman's journey. And I've actually changed some of the definitions based on the 10 years of observing, actually it's been over a decade now, of observing women, working with women, learning from their stories. I've understood that the pattern exists, but for the seeker of Allah and the woman who's seeking Allah in her life's journey, the patterns are the same, but there are certain nuances that are different. And so I've taken that model and then I've adjusted it and tweaked it a little bit. So the four phases of a woman's spiritual journey, a spiritual life, is maiden,
Mhm.
mother, and this is where I've changed the two names. The third and the fourth phase is wise woman
Mhm.
and sage. And essentially what we have here are archetypal phases of life. Like, so these are the when we're at the best form, when that phase of life is aligned in the way that it should be, this is what we are experiencing. So in the maiden stage, I've written down that, actually, I've also written down that these stages of life aren't rigid. And so it's not so much about when you're age 7 to 21, this is where you're at, and 21 to 41, it's not about age per se. It's actually more of like the evolving patterns that exist, evolving patterns of identity, of perspective, and of purpose, evolving patterns of the spiritual journey that a woman will go on, and they kind of follow the same pattern from the beginning to the end of a woman's life. Important to remember that all four of these phases, they're not necessarily linear, but these are the ideal for patterns of life that every woman can go through. Sometimes you'll see what happens, and often when I speak to women, I can see how the journey is going forward and then it's moving back on itself. Sometimes I meet a woman who got married very young, had lots of kids, was part of she missed out on her maiden phase, and then after her divorce, she goes back to her maiden phase and she needs to discover herself again, and then she becomes a wise woman. So sometimes there is an overlapping and a moving, but what is really, really beautiful is that each phase of a woman's life and a woman's spiritual journey is calling her to Allah. There's always a door open. Would you like to spend this phase with Allah? Would you like to spend this time, this current stage of life you're in with Allah? Or would you like to get lost in the dunya? Each of these phases can give you the opportunity to lose yourself and be away from Allah, or use that exact same scenario and opportunity you're in to be with Allah. How does that sound?
Inshallah, that's I don't know. I don't have words. You actually took a lot of pressure off of me because in the motherhood
Okay.
phase, it's
Mm,
it's
mm, mm.
you're giving and giving and giving. Sometimes I think we also don't see the vision, or we forget the vision, or it's blinded for whatever reason. And then we're just like, oh my God, I'm just so tired, right?
Yeah,
Like, and then you come back, right? You make dua
yeah,
to Allah, you come back to that same phase. And I love that you said mother is not just birthing and being a mother of children. It's mother means much more than just being a mother to a
that's right.
child. And that
That's
is amazing because, I mean, we don't think in that sense. We have limited our definition a lot, I feel, especially when it comes to women, and we don't
yeah,
think
definitely.
in that sense. And it is very beautiful that all four phases of a woman, and every woman has access to this, to the calling
That's
of
right.
Allah. Allah keeps calling